It literally was Lion 2.0 and Soyeon and Friends, just like I predicted.
땡땡 코코투.
Hi, welcome! So today's video is super exciting because I'm going to be sharing with you my honest thoughts on GIDLE's comeback with Oh My God. And yes, I will be vehemently pronouncing the G. And I'm also going to be telling you why this comeback is so familiar. I know, such a controversial series. Basically, where I address accusations of one group copying another while adding my own accusations. I'm kidding. What did I actually title this video? I don't even know. You will before me because time isn't real. So let's get into it. Actually, I'm going to stop you right there to remind you to subscribe, like, comment, share with friends you don't have, and join my channel memberships. So if you guys didn't know, I actually made a video a few days ago titled GIDLE Comeback Predictions. And in that video, I predicted that this would be a Lion 2.0, but I predicted it would be more like a sequel to Lion. I was wrong. It's just a Lion 2.0. And I feel like a lot of people can agree with that. I've read a lot of comments on the music video. I've read a lot of comments in my community tab. I've had people DMing me. It is definitely a Lion 2.0, and there are definitely a lot of similarities between the two songs. So let's discuss them. It's almost as if they took Lion and added these beautiful, gay, dark undertones, and I'm not mad at it. Can I say that word on this platform? I did really love the oh my god part. I think Soyeon's intonation really made it sound very extravagant. However, I do have to admit that as she says oh my god, you almost feel like you're gonna start hearing ba ba ba. I'm so sorry to my neighbor. We can hear everything between each other. However, I did predict that the song would sound a little bit more like Volume Up. We will get into that a little bit later, but I have to say for some reason I was getting Troublemaker vibes. So leave down in the comments below if you got those vibes as well. Also, Soyeon's initial verse to me seemed very similar to Lion. I placed them side by side and they're really different, but I feel like the vibe is very similar and different at the same time. Let me explain. So in Lion, there's almost this animalistic, quite fittingly, vibe to it, you know? But then in Oh My God, you do have this animalistic vibe, but it's almost as if she's possessed, again, quite fittingly. So we have these similar vibes that something is like overtaking her body, but I feel like they're done in slightly different ways. So I kind of liked that. I kind of liked, you know, that slight distinction between the two songs. Did that make any sense? This video is a f***ing mess. And another homage to Lion, shall we say, is the gold theme. Lion had a very red and gold color palette, and Oh My God tends to go towards more black and white. However, they do have sprinkles of color and neutrality. Gold is neutral, right? You didn't come here for color theory. But we do have sprinkles of purple and gold. And I think the gold is very reminiscent of Lion. Notably in Neon Scene, which is absolutely stunning, by the way. But also a little bit reminiscent of Red Velvet Psycho, which we will get into later. So the last similarity between Oh My God and Lion that we're going to touch on is Shuhwa's lines. I feel like the hua has to be intonated like that, right? I could be wrong. I was only a Korea boo. Don't at me. So when people were pointing this out, I thought to myself, what lines? I'm sorry, that was a bad joke. But really, I forgot what her lines were. But for real, they are quite similar. So the next topic we're going to touch on is Soyeon and Friends. This is something I get in trouble for talking about, but you know, we're gonna go there. I read a lot of comments saying, you know, I didn't know GIDLE became Soyeon, Minnie, Sujin, and Friends. Now, I've actually made a video on this subject if you want to check it out after you're done with this one. You wouldn't want to mess with my watch time now, would you? But regardless, there are a lot of people still saying that it's Soyeon and Friends, still saying that it's Soyeon, Minnie, Sujin, and Friends. I mean, truthfully, they do have the most significant parts in the song, and I haven't, you know, scientifically calculated it, but I feel like they also have the most lines and the most screen time. At least that's what stands out to me the most. They were the ones that I noticed the most in this song. But I mean, I have my thoughts on K-pop and favoritism. I've already explained in the past that, you know, companies tend to pick one or maybe a few members who are able to engage, you know, the most with an audience, and they do this, you know, for marketing purposes, which I elaborate on more in this video, which you can check out after you're done this one. My point is, this isn't something that I'm particularly upset about or that I'm particularly mad about, but I do understand how some fans can be upset with this. But the one thing I do want to mention, because I have been guilty of this as well, of, you know, calling GIDLE Soyeon and Friends. And I said this because I felt there was a lot of imbalance within their performances because Soyeon was really the only one who you could hear, right? She was the only one whose live voice was powerful enough to overpower the backup track. However, in the showcase performance, which are usually notorious for being like 100% lip sung, I'm not even going to try to conjugate that verb, but I digress. I was actually very pleasantly surprised with Mion's voice. And actually, you can kind of feel a bit more of a balance within the performance as a whole because there were definitely other members that you could hear other than Soyeon. And actually, you couldn't always hear Soyeon as clearly as you usually do. But on the other hand, you could, kind of hear other members as well, particularly Mion. There was one point where she just sang really, really loud. It was probably just like for like 1 or 2 seconds, and it's probably really nitpicky of me, but I thought that was like the most beautiful moment in a GIDLE performance. I loved it so much. It just felt very raw and authentic, and you could almost like, you could just picture the breath struggling to get out. And again, struggle isn't a bad thing. If you hear someone, slightly struggling during a performance, it just shows that the performance is real. It just shows authenticity. And I live for that and I love that. And I was actually very pleasantly surprised with her, particularly because admittedly, she's a member that I don't quite hear all that often. So now let's move on to the similarities with Red Velvet's Psycho. Now, I personally don't go on Twitter anymore because that's a little thing I like to call self-care. However, I do know the most annoying Revelove in the entire world, and she assured me that there were people going crazy over the similarities between GIDLE's Oh My God teaser photos and Red Velvet's Psycho teaser photos. To which I will say, yeah, they're very similar, very eerily similar at times. And even this part in the music video with Mion and her tears and Sergei's tears, or Sergei, as people think I pronounce it. How do you get Sergei out of Sergei? Sergei. I don't fucking know. And maybe this is the thumbnail for the video. I don't even know. This is so unpredictable. I hate feeling like there's a time limit. It's like 9 a.m. I've been up for a while, getting ready, getting all my shit together, writing a script, doing research, to get this out at like 3 p.m. Am I gonna succeed? I don't know. So the next thing we're gonna talk about for the sense of familiarity that you might feel for Oh My God, we're gonna talk about Volume Up. So I did predict that it's going to sound a lot like Volume Up and that we're gonna get a similar vibe from Volume Up. The darkness maybe is a little bit similar, but Volume Up I feel was more vampire-esque in nature, whereas Oh My God is more demonic in nature. And maybe that's the same thing, but maybe there's a little bit of a difference. However, there's literally a scene that is exactly the same, and that is Hyuna and Yuki literally walking down this Victorian-esque hallway, and it's the same thing. Cube. I'm kidding. Like, no, actually cute, but like not because of this. However, much like Lion, Oh My God featured, a lot of scenes with a pitch white background, which was, can you guess, very reminiscent of Crazy by 4 Minute. I don't know why, but I feel like Cube has a thing with using just completely white backgrounds across all of their artists' music videos, and also copywriting 8 seconds of a video I uploaded 8 months ago. Not that I'm trying to be shady or anything, but also there's this dense similarity with Hate. Okay, so now let's take a little minute to talk about the religious symbolism, because I predicted that there would be some religious symbolism because of the title, Oh My God, which was the most basic of connections to ever make, but I digress. I said that there would be some symbolism, but it wouldn't make us as uncomfortable as some people felt for BTS On. If you didn't know, in the music video for On, there was like some religious symbolism, like Noah's Ark and like thorns and shit. I don't know. I'm not good with that stuff. So the religious symbolism to me was a lot more easily digestible in this because it wasn't so explicit. It was almost like blasphemous in nature, if that makes sense. So then in that sense, you wouldn't take it so seriously. I don't know. But also the whispering creeped me the fuck out. Like, I feel like I couldn't listen to the song past 8 p.m. But the lyrics, okay, let's take 2 seconds to talk about the lyrics. It's like After School's Because of You music video, but in a lyric form. But also I don't know how to get more into that without getting demonetized. Okay, moving on to the music video. I loved the colors in the music video, and I think they did make really great use of different color stories. Like vastly different color stories that were still cohesive together. I mean, we had gold, we had purple, we had black, we had white, and some red themes mixed into that. So they're quite different, but at the end of the day, it didn't feel too overwhelming. And we also see that their use of borders was not as obnoxious as it was in Lion. A lot of people told me that the borders in Lion had symbolism. Sure, but at the same time, borders bother me, and I feel like Cube is really terrible with borders, even in their thumbnails. Like, what the fuck is this? But I mean, on that wavelength, if there was symbolism within the borders in Line, I do still think there was symbolism within the borders in Oh My God, because we see Minnie at the end and the borders are closing in on her, and I feel like there's some type of symbolism that she's being trapped by something. But also on that note, there was no note to follow up on that. This is a different note. I would have loved to see more scenes of the underwater sparkly water. Like, did you not notice that at the beginning and think it was the coolest thing in the universe? It gave me M Black Cry vibes, but like sparkly. I'm kidding. Kind of. Okay, final thoughts. I love how they went this creepy route. I feel like we need more K-pop songs like this. I feel like the K-pop scene is very saturated with girl crush. I wouldn't say oversaturated because that implies that we don't like girl crush. I stan girl crush. But I do think there is not enough creepy concepts. I love that they went there. I love that it's creepy, it's sensual, it's odd. As for the song itself, much like Lion, I didn't know how I really felt about it on the first listen, but after listening to it 5 times, it's grown on me and I love it now. And I think it's one of my favorite comebacks, and I'll name you all my favorite comebacks since you're so curious. AT's Answer, Everglow Tan Tan, GIDLE, Oh My God. Oh my God, how could I forget? Awesome Screen. Awesome Camera. Long Lasting Battery Life. Did that come out in 2019? I have no concept of time. So yeah, that is basically all I had to say. Make sure you leave down in the comments below what your thoughts were for this comeback. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, share with friends you don't have, and join my channel memberships if you can. And no, I'm not unblocking Markley Spears from Twitter.